This is where it all begins. A safe harbor with boats smug in their moorings, all in readiness, awaiting our adventures. Our guest for the legendary Tyee, the giant salmon of British Columbia.
Salmon capital of the world, and boy it is. They come from all over the United States and in Canada, and this is the peak of the run for the springers, they call them up here. And why don't you come along and go with me, and we'll see if we can get some of these beautiful salmon up in British Columbia. Come on.
Oh, that's exciting.
Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, ho, ho. Get him.
Oh, he's gonna go.
Get those downriggers up.
That's a fish. Everybody else is gonna get their lines in, and I'm gonna have some fun. A good fish. Yeah. Boy, they're fighters and they're fresh up here. Oh, yeah.
That's a 40-pounder.
I think so. That's a Canadian submarine, folks, and I got a hold of it. We're not going to be in any hurry. I don't know if you can see him just yet, but boy, we sure can, and that's quite a thrill. Fishing on the Hagar. We got some great equipment here, and that's important when you're fishing for these big springers. There he is, if you want to take a look. We've had him on now for about 30 minutes. Charlie, my man, is going to haul him in, and he's got him.
All right.
Oh, boy. Oh. Oh.
Over the top.
Over the top, he says. There it is. Fishing in Canada. You can't beat it. Charlie, my man, thank you. I now know why this is the salmon capital of the world.
You better believe it.
Yeah, I do.
How do you get here? It's very accessible. By boat or air from Port Alberni, with commercial or charter air service from Vancouver. We took the scenic route with Pacific Rim Airlines.
Port Alberni, HH, taking off out of the river eastbound and right-hand turnout for Great Central Lake area.
Hey, boys, beautiful country up here. What are we going to see today?
Okay, once we get airborne here, we're going to be going directly over to the Stamp River, and we'll run along the Stamp River for 5 or 6 miles, where it's been an extremely good stream for steelhead fishing in the fall and in the winter due to the Robertson hatchery.
Right.
And from there, we'll more likely run up the Robertson hatchery and take a couple of rounds around there, more likely the Ash River, over to Great Central, then we'll jump over into Sprout Lake, have a look along the tributary and the main river coming out of the thing, and then we'll come back over Port Alberni Canal, China Creek, and down into Barkley Sound.
And then into beautiful Barkley Sound.
We got a real good close look at the Stamp River. That's one of the prime spots for great steelhead fishing. They say the steelies go up to 30 pounds up here. But what makes the fishing so good? It's the Robertson Creek Hatchery and their excellent salmon enhancement program. The hatchery released 7.5 million salmon fry into Alberni waters in 1980. They beat that in 1984 with over 9.5 million being released in addition to 250,000 steelhead. Barkley Sound does not suffer from declining salmon catches found elsewhere. Sprout Lake is the home of the Mars water bombers. They're the largest water bombers in the world. Port Alberni's central location gives a visitor quick access to salt or freshwater fishing. And then up the Salmon Highway, Alberni Inlet, and into Barkley Sound. Many fishermen use China Creek Basin to launch from. It's a beautiful boat ride up the inlet to Haggard's Cove and to a great fishing hole, San Mateo Bay. At the head of the sound is the fishing community of Bamfield. And then comes the islands of the spectacular Pacific Rim National Park. Well, it was quite a ride on Pacific Rim Airlines Cessna 185, but I was getting anxious to see Haggard's Cove. And there it was. What a spot. We came by for a wave just to say hello, and knew that Charlie would be seeing us. Then we circled back for another look from the front of the cove. And you know, I could have stayed up longer in this beautiful Canadian wilderness. But it was time to come down, and we had the smoothest landing in front of the lodge. It was the only way to travel to get to Haggard's Cove. As I looked up, I was already beginning to get salmon fever as I saw Charlie's dock and his completely outfitted fishing boats ready to go. As we taxied in, I saw Charlie Haggard himself coming down the ramp. I also knew at that time that the best decision a man can make is simply to go fishing. Fishing for Tyee salmon in Vancouver Island, Barkley Sound, and especially Haggard's Cove. It didn't take me long to get out of the airplane because I knew Charlie would have an up-to-date report on the fishing and where those giant Tyee salmon were hiding.
How are you, Leo? How are
Charlie,
you?
how are you?
Welcome back.
Oh, it's good to see you.
I think we got more and better fish this year than we had last year. Do you know that?
Well, it's still just as prettier. I think it's prettier than last year.
And you had a good flight in?
Oh, we had a great flight.
Great.
Greg came right in, Pacific Rim Airlines. We had a ball coming up Alberta Sound.
Isn't that something, eh? And you looked over the lake and the river system?
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we went through the whole lakes. We saw the hatchery, the steelheads, and now we're out here, and I want to catch me a big springer.
Well, we'll look after that. We'll
Well,
just
good.
fix that up for
Great,
you.
great.
There's lots of them in. You come at the right time.
Beautiful. We always come at the right time.
That's right.
And of course, that's any place, any time at your place.
Yeah, right. Well, I've had good fishing since June. We've been really going since June.
It didn't take long to store our gear, and Charlie had the Hagar ready, and we were going fishing to San Mateo Bay.
Well, that's the Tomcat, and that's one of the two boats that you'll use when you come up to Haggard's Cove and come out here to catch those springers. Real nice boat, and what makes it so nice and a lot of fun is a guy named Tom sitting right there in the back watching that downrigger bounce up and down, and there's Tom waving and saying hello. And that's what that man does for a living. These springers are fighters up here, Charlie. Well, it looks like he's going to come by to see us. There he is. Nice one to start with. That's a good way to start the morning off, I would think. Boy, the sun is just beginning to come up here on San Mateo Bay, and Charlie, this is fun. This is our second one in about 5 minutes. There must be a school of them down there. Charlie took us out here to San Mateo Bay. Had a nice little shower last night, cloud cover this morning, and we came out here on the first run. We got one, and this time we just got whipped. But that's the way fishing is sometime, but we're going to go back out there and we're going to get another one because they're here in San Mateo Bay.
Well, they really were too. We caught and released many up to 35 pounds. We kept Charlie busy, weighing those salmon, all as bright as a silver dollar. He didn't seem to mind though. The Tomcat got into the act too. Hey Tom, don't fall in. It was a great morning bite, and a perfect way to start out the trip. You know, the salmon will make you work up an appetite, and with the Canadian flag flying, it was time to go back to the lodge. I could already taste Mary Haggard's home cooking.
What are we having for breakfast this morning?
Oh, bacon, eggs, and hash browns.
Bacon and eggs and hash brown.
I think these are done.
Are they about done? Oh, they look good.
Yeah. They're ready.
And a big slab of homemade Canadian bacon. I have salmon tonight. Oh boy. How are you going to make that salmon tonight, Mary?
Well, I might to barbecue it.
Oh, we're going to have barbecued salmon right on the water. Oh, great. As you can see here, we'll have enough to eat because Mary really knows how to take care of you here. Charlie Haggard's place, Haggard's Cove. Well, I got to go now. I'm going to have me a Canadian breakfast.
If you want to stay longer than a few days in Haggard's Cove, and who doesn't, you can, you know. You can purchase your own lot and even build a home in this truly unique wilderness subdivision. It's serviced with water, sewer, and roads, and of course you'll have a moorage for your boat. And the best part, you can't beat the view. That afternoon on the water, Charlie told us about back eddy fishing.
We're fishing in the back eddy. A lot of water's coming out of the canal, and when it comes out of the, drifts out of the canal, it goes in a circle, eh? We call that a back eddy. And the fish get in there and they just drift in that back eddy.
Want to know why there are so many salmon in San Mateo Bay? Charlie explained it.
They have to make an adjustment from the heavy salt water to the lesser salt water as they progress up the canal. And if you can visualize all those streams running into that canal off those rivers for that 26 miles, the water becomes less salty and less salty all the way up. And they have to pool in areas as they go to make the chemical adjustment to their body to stand that fresh water after living their lifetime at sea in heavy salt water. San Mateo Bay is right at the head of the Alberni Canal and the end of the Barkley Sound as the fish come in. And here's where they start to adjust to the lesser salt water, or the more fresh water.
The right bait and how you present it is very important. Charlie uses anchovies. I asked him why.
I think maybe I perfected anchovies. I think any bait you use, you should perfect. It goes to the lure that looks like a wounded feed to the fish, and it has to do with the speed of the boat you travel. It has to do with the flasher you use, and you put all those things together, and you've got a combination that'll work.
Charlie is a perfectionist when it comes to portraying the lure to the fish. It all starts with the bait holder, one that he modifies to hold the anchovy in tight. He uses only 5 to 6 inch anchovies and inserts them head first. A treble hook goes in and a trailer hook runs free. He checks the fitting and then presses a holder in. He makes sure that the bait is straight and that his leader is tied on so that the bait's movement in the water will act like a wounded anchovy. Now there's a delicacy for a salmon.
Well, this is how we do it at Barkley Sound. This is a downrigger, and as you can see, we're at about 45 feet down. In Canada, they call that poles, which would be about 22 poles. We're about 50 feet behind the boat, and we've got our rod in its case, and when that big springer hits, the weight that we use, which is a bell weight that Charlie has, weighs about 10 pounds on these outside rigs. That'll quick release, and that leaves the fisherman to take the pole out of the holder, and he's going to be fighting that springer, and that's what it's all about. And you don't really care, you know, if you catch fish or not. The sun is out, and it is shining on this pristine, beautiful bay, and that's what it's all about, because it is so nice. You don't care if you catch fish or not, but you know what? We almost always do. Sun going down on San Mateo Bay. Some of you boys may be at happy hour back in Los Angeles or San Francisco, or maybe fighting traffic. Not me. I'm up here in British Columbia catching salmon. Whoa!
That's beautiful, isn't it? Barkley Sound and the Alberni Inlet, the scenic west coast of Vancouver Island. Its inhabitants love it here. They remind you they've been here longer. The fishing, well, you'll never forget it. The Hagar, the tomcat who always puts you on the fish, and all the salmon are fresh, and boy do they fight. And it's a big thrill when you get your Tyee, and that's what they call the big ones up here, and you become a member of the Tyee Club. The shrimp? Well, those are not shrimp. Not in size anyway. You know, when we get back to the dock, we had as many people looking at the Rodcraft International Custom Salmon rods on Charlie's boat as they did the fish. And I don't blame them. This Thunderbird model was great to fish with and look at too. When it's time to leave Haggard's Cove, you don't want to go. There's so much to do here, and you haven't done it all yet. It's still an unspoiled vacation paradise, towering mountains, sparkling clean water, whale watching, tremendous scuba diving, and unsurpassed year-round fishing in Barkley Sound, Alberni Inlet, and especially San Mateo Bay. It truly is the salmon capital of the world. Now you combine all that with the hospitality and friendship of Charlie and Mary Haggard, and with nature every day painting the background for you, you know you're coming back. So why don't you come along too?